You think you're so smart. You get it all figured out. You blow my brains out, you burn the house down, you kill yourself. All life's misery solved in an hour's worth of effort. Bravo. And in the end, we'll meet in one of the 7 circles. And I'll be there for not doing what I could to help you. And you'll be there for doing what you could to stop me. Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Is that what you want?
Yeah, that's what I want.
Well, here, use this. Go ahead, come on. I want to see blood on your hands. You can't hide from the consequences of what you do. I want you to take a stand for the horse shit you believe in.
Madonna, forever. Madonna, forever. Madonna, forever. Madonna, forever.
Playing dangerous games.
Nah.
Come on, YouTube. It's trying to remember. It's like, I haven't done this in a while.
It's like, what? Who is this?
It's waking up from a long slumber. It's like, oh, we're back. Sorry. Oh, okay.
Okay. You're listening to MLVC, the Madonna podcast, your place for all things Madonna Louise Veronica Ciccone. Welcome back, everybody. It's Liberty.
Hey guys, it's Tony.
Well. We're back, children. It's Ben.
Hey, everybody. It's Stefan. Your unofficial celebration took... Oh, sorry. Oh, geez. Old habits die hard. I'm just kidding. Welcome to another episode of MLVC. We're back from our little mini hiatus. We needed a bit of a break just to mourn the end of the tour and let it soak in. Let all the Rio juices soak in. Let mother wash herself all over us. I'm sure everyone's been listening ad nauseum to the Rio rips from the audio and it's an auspicious evening today. It's the return of our Madonna Summer Movie Series. Mm-hmm. We're going to discuss the 1993 drama Dangerous Game. When was the first time we all saw this? Did everyone here see it in the theater?
That's
I saw it in second run theater.
Okay.
Not the you know how we used to have like the second run where movies would play for like $3.
Yes. I loved those theaters.
Yeah.
I know.
I've seen so many drag movies in second run theaters. It was like Tu Wong Fu, The Birdcage. Like it was like you'd pay like $7 and you'd get the ticket and popcorn. It was amazing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I saw a Dangerous Game in Houston. There was an art house theater called The Greenway, and they ran these indie films, but only for a week. So this was there only for Friday through Thursday. And yeah, me and my ex-girlfriend went and we saw Madonna in a movie, and it was just really jarring because we weren't expecting it to be so like raw and unfinished and all over the place, because we were thinking it was going to be like at least like Body of Evidence, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It veers very far off from like a mainstream commercial movie. So for those of you listening and watching, if you've not yet seen Dangerous Game, it is a film directed by Abel Ferrara. It's written by Nicholas St. John. It stars Madonna, Harvey Keitel, and James Russo. It's basically a film within a film where Harvey Keitel is playing a character named Eddie Israel. He's a director. Madonna plays actress Sarah Jennings. James Russo plays an actor. I forget his name in the film.
Frank.
Oh, Frank. Yeah.
Frank.
And they're
all her men are Frank.
Frank.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
She fucked Frank,
Mm-hmm.
And Frank.
Yeah. But they're making a film in the film called Mother of Mirrors, which is a movie about Madonna's character and James Russo's character having this like big marital fallout. He's like some unemployed husband, and she's apparently some like newly religious wife, and they had like this like sordid sexual past with drugs and orgies. And so the scenes we see of them are them just like fighting and constantly arguing. And then Harvey Keitel's director is like constantly trying to like peel back the layers of the characters to get to the truth. And meanwhile, in the real life of Harvey Keitel's character, his personal life is like falling apart. So that's the movie in a nutshell. There's literally no structure to it at all. It is so non-linear and it bounces all over the place. And they do a lot of like, you see like a lot of like videotape, hence Tony's background. Tony is in the videotape BTS of Mother of Mirrors. And
no, I don't want to be there.
the rehearsal footage. And so what do we all think? Tony, give us a lowdown.
Don't you feel like a lot of it was improvised? I noticed specifically the scene where Madonna is talking to Harvey Keitel and she's telling that story of how she was raped on a rooftop, and that's her story.
Yep.
You know, and no one wrote that. I mean, she's kind of ad-libbing that, and it's very real. But before I get more into that stuff, this was the first Maverick Films production.
Yep.
Executive produced by Freddie Demand. So I'm sure backstage there was a lot of screaming, Freddie. But apparently she was very excited about this. She, acted the shit out of it, and then got really upset when the director like recut the movie and took the focus off of her, and it became a different kind of movie. Especially the way it ended, and she didn't promote it. She never talked about it, and Maverick didn't really make another film for a while, I guess.
What were your thoughts of seeing the movie, Tony? Like, do you remember? Because the reason I ask is I had initial thoughts when I saw the movie the first time, and rewatching it for this, I had different thoughts. And I'm curious, like, did your opinion change doing a rewatch? Yeah,
I think so. Because the first time I watched it, I kind of mostly didn't know what was going on. I was just waiting for her to appear on the screen so I could look at her and be like, what is she saying? And I liked a lot of her lines and her delivery, but watching it now, I realized that the director is kind of making a commentary, like there's a parallel between the character of his wife and Sarah Jennings, where they are women who are, their fate, their outcome is decided by men, and they kind of, the power they have is very limited. And whenever they try to deviate from that, they keep putting them down,
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe that I got that out of that this time, but I mean, you could just see it in the nuances and just the way that Sarah treats herself, by sleeping with everybody. And, and this is like prime Dita Parlo, erotica, Louise Oriol era. So you get like the good hair and probably most likely Madonna's own clothing, wouldn't you say?
Possibly. Yeah. I mean,
maybe.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, so, and Liberty, you had never seen the movie originally.
No. About 10 years ago, someone loaned me the DVD, and I just wasn't ready to watch it because what I'd heard was that there was some violence and things that I, first of all, don't necessarily seek out in film, but also I just couldn't bear thinking of seeing Madonna that way. Because I love her so much, and and she's so pristine, and like you said, Tony, like I'm spending time looking at the movie, thinking like, when's it Madonna's turn? I know, and it happened to me yesterday. This is the first time I've seen it, where I was thinking like, okay, but just get to the Madonna part, because all this stuff with these men who are, I just despised them.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see them anymore. I was tired of their BS. And of course, looking at this through a 2024 lens, there's a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions as a woman watching it, for sure. But besides that, just I may still have that DVD that someone loaned me that I don't know if I ever gave back to them. But
I'm sure they don't miss it.
Yeah, I
they
watched it for
don't.
free on the Roku channel with some commercials, which was
Yeah.
jarring to say the least, and like that. But yeah, it was I don't think it's a movie I'll watch again.
Mhm.
I would have to say it's not
Not
gonna
one of
come
your
up-
favorites.
not going to be one. Although, I mean, for her part, she's beautiful. She's incredibly stunning, believable. You don't get the same vibe, you know, like how she acted in Body of Evidence, for example. There's not this this sort of precociousness about her character. So there's some great elements as far as her performance.
Mhm. And Ben, what are your overall thoughts on seeing the movie?
Well, they're twofold because I think about when I watched it in early 1994 and then watching it now and sort of like the difference in how we intersect with art in movies. Because I was struck in the first time I watched it that it was very like of the moment with the behind the scenes, like the sort of tape inside the film. Like it really was three movies: the behind the scenes videos, the movie that's that's Harvey Keitel's character's arc, and then the movie about the movie, right? And they're all playing two characters, but really three because they're themselves in some ways in the behind the scenes footage. And watching it then, I thought, oh, this is like edgy independent cinema using sort of like new techniques of reality TV because the real world was new and that kind of stuff and the idea of the interview. And I was struck by how rewatching it in 2024, that feels cheesy. It feels like a dark twin of RuPaul's Drag Race, like the organization of it. And then I also was forced to reconsider, Liberty touched on this, how misogynistic and rapey the movie was. And I was struck by how much that like assaulted me as a viewer in 2024. And I remember watching it the previous two times, not engaging with that part of it as much because I just felt like it was this movie about douchey guys in Hollywood. But then when you, of course, because I did my research and Abel Ferrara, is that how you pronounce his name, the director or whatever?
It is today.
Like he gave this interview where he talked about Madonna slagging off the movie and like that. But watching it yesterday, I was like, well, you clearly didn't like her and she didn't like how you edited the movie because he, as the director, clearly became in disdain toward Madonna and the characters. And it sort of became in the movie, obviously the ending, which we don't want to spoil, but it doesn't work out well for Sarah and Claire. And I was struck also by my change in interpreting Madonna's performance, how I felt like she was her most natural and really good playing Sarah, and that when she was portraying Claire in the movie, inside the movie, she was giving us that sort of like stiff, waxy Madonna acting, except in the one scene that I will give Nicholas St. John and Madonna and Harvey Keitel, that scene, like 2/3 of the way through, where he's doing the like filming her segments of the monologue without the
You think
other
you're so
character
smart, Russell. You have it all figured out. You blow my brains out. You burn the house down. You kill yourself.
But just
all
how
life's
Harvey
problems
Keitel
solved in an hour's worth of misery. I know it. I know it.
But like how Harvey's character starts referring to her as Sarah.
Commercial piece of shit. You commercial piece of shit. You'd be selling toothpaste right now if it wasn't for me. I only need your money. Exactly. I love that scene.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because you can see Madonna switching between the two characters of Sarah and Claire and also herself, actually the three characters, and how the muscles in her face, and you're like, you watch that and you think, oh, wow, she can act. She just needs the situation.
Yep.
Like you could feel her own vitriol toward Abel, not toward Harvey, but absolutely toward the real director. She was like, you MFing piece of I'm about to come up in here with some lawyers.
Especially since she's like, hi, I gave you the money to make this fucking movie and you're,
right.
you know.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
no,
so-
Ben, I think that my overall take of the movie is I don't like the movie, but I absolutely love Madonna in this movie. She is top notch acting in this. Like for anyone that is, it's so cheap for people to say and dismiss her and say she can't act simply because of some of the projects she's in. She's had an unfortunate row of movie projects that just have not gone her way. And it's very easy to dismiss Dangerous Game because Abel Ferrara directed it and edited it in a poor way. But
Yeah.
I think there are like a lot of her scenes are absolutely brilliant. And she's really like she's very understated and then not at the same time. Like that one scene that we're talking about, you think
Yeah.
you're so smart. I love how you see it back to back to back to back because she just keeps amping up. And it's like the first time she says it, it's like, it's acting. You can see it's like but it's Madonna acting as the character, acting for the film. And then by the time she's done, it's just Madonna, like raging.
So for the audience that's watching and listening and hasn't seen the movie, the best way to describe this in a way most of you will understand, think of the last half of Beyonce's Love on Top and what she does vocally. That's what Madonna does with her acting in this scene that we're talking about. It's this sort of like key change that keeps going up. And props also, Madonna's acting is good. She had good acting chemistry with Harvey Keitel, because he also is really good in this movie. Like, he can't save the movie, but he's really convincing as basically playing Abel Ferrara. But which then his character's wife was Abel's then wife Nancy's.
Really? Okay. I didn't
Meta. Yeah.
The one who plays his wife, Madeline.
Yeah, that's actually Abel Ferrara's wife.
Interesting.
At the time.
She was my least favorite character in the movie, by the way.
Yeah.
And in fact,
I don't know. I loved it
cuckolded.
when she got nasty with him.
the scene, in fact, and I know this is not a comedy, but like literally the scene where Harvey Keitel's character tells his wife about his infidelity. Sorry, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the movie,
Right. While you're listening, I mean, come on.
it's been out for years.
Yeah.
I mean, but he tells his wife Madeline about the infidelity, and that whole scene just makes me laugh. Like, I don't know why, but like watch something about the way that she's just like, what are you doing? Like, it's almost as if like he's just destroyed the marriage, and she's just like, okay. And then it's almost as if like they cut, and then they told her, okay, now you have to get really upset, so start throwing things at him. And
Yeah,
then
then it turns into an opera all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But
It's
honestly,
very 1993, like acting in Hollywood trope for sure.
yeah.
that, and also, I mean, it is one of those things where when you find out about infidelity, you don't necessarily immediately rage. I mean, it's different for everybody, but
I do. I rage instantaneously.
no,
Especially if it's Sarah Jennings, you know?
right. I just, me personally, I think I guess I'm gullible in that way where I think, well, perhaps that's just what her character did. And it really didn't get problematic and, until, she starts thinking about the kid. Like, that's where it starts to really get, dicey for her. But I just thought it's easy not to like her because she also looks like a fool.
Yeah.
How could she not have known?
Yeah.
And especially thinking like, okay, so she's been married to this Hollywood guy and she never had any idea whatsoever that he's boinking all of his, sound
Leading
people, makeup people,
ladies.
models, all these people. Like, I mean, come on, really? I guess
her character is the most trapped in 1993.
for sure.
Yeah.
And that a viewing now does nothing to it, almost is worse for that character. Because I thought about what you're saying, Liberty, and I was like, well, how would this scene play out in a movie now? Like, how would that be represented? And I think you're onto something, that it would be completely different.
Yeah. And probably over, like, again, that ragey, because that's what people expect. People expect, oh, you've been cheated on. Well, you probably, you break all his stuff, you burn his entire, car out, and, you do everything that you can to completely go ballistic because that's what is expected. But I think the reality is for different people, it's different where you're like, oh, that's what's going on. Okay, well, you know, either you almost want to laugh
actually, you're
about
right.
it.
It's almost as if like because it was pre-reality television, we didn't have a blueprint for like how to rage. You know, like now
Right.
everyone is like, it's so used to being like, it's this big over the top reaction.
Well, except that Waiting to Exhale came out like a few months later, and Angela Bassett set the tone.
True.
Madonna's Birthday Twin set the tone for how to rage in dismatrimony. So,
True.
yeah.
Well, and honestly, on the other side of that, James Russo does an awful lot of acting in this movie. Like he's a little over the top in every single scene.
I know.
I can't say that I've ever seen him in any other movie that like I can think of. So I have no template. Like I don't know what he's like in films in general.
You'd be surprised. He's been in everything, but he never really gets like, I guess like a free range from a director because this is like, don't ever let him do that again. You know, because every time he opened his mouth, he like inhaled everything in that room, you know, and then you could tell Madonna was like cowering in a corner, but you know, she still kind of tried to get pushed back and give it back to him. But he was like, he wouldn't let her speak. It was very, you know, you could tell that's one of those improvisational scenes. And it was like, wow, she's like trying to like get a word in edgewise. Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, so that's one of the most striking things to me about the movie is like no intimacy coordinator. The treatment of Madonna in this movie, I'm like, there is no way this behavior would ever fly to any actor today in the way that we like produce movies. Like Madonna, I mean, she was slapped. She's like photographed awfully. Like there's scenes where I'm like, oh my God, they just are making her look really bad. And she's beautiful at this time, but it's like the way like Abel Ferrara just like, and I get it. They're trying to be arty and sort of like underground and indie. And so it's like, it's meant to look like that. And of course the character she's playing in Mother of Mirrors is abused, but it's like Madonna, the person is just like slapped around and like it's not pretty. It's not nice. Her treatment at all. Like it's tough to watch.
But I kind of wonder if that's purposeful, obviously, on the director's behalf, this message about the whole American dream. And he's not American, right? Abel Ferrara was.
No, he's like from Manhattan. He's like
Is he?
he's like a
Queens,
he's like a famous New York director. Like this is his rare
That
film.
does change my mind a bit then. But because I guess I thought that he was European for some reason, just thinking about this cheapened, you know, that the American dream that keeps kind of getting brought up. If you take kind of Madonna as the person and the, you know, the fame, the rags to riches sort of story that fits so well in this idea of commercialism and, you know, making, you know, that money is tantamount and commercial and you know, make a lot of it, to sort of tear her down and make her look cheap and sort of expendable, if you will, pairs, in my opinion, well with the concept of how the American dream is fake, you know?
Yeah.
And your comment, Liberty, brings up the fact that this movie probably was made and came out about 4 years too late. Like the commentary that it's offering is very much on sort of like the Reagan 80s. I was thinking about this a lot, watching it again for the first time in over 20 years, was how much it felt like an 80s movie, whereas Body of Evidence still had that sort of like early 90s sheen as like a sex thriller trying to be campy and sexy at the same time. Whereas this felt very like sort of late 80s Scorsese, you know, and Ferrera.
Or like David Cronenberg even. It even had like an 80s Cronenberg feel to it.
Yeah.
Where it was like it's very like observational, you know, like Abel Ferrara, it's almost just like the camera's in the corner and you're just sort of like watching what's happening.
Yeah, at the same time, I was thinking like, what would be the real life comparison of like a big blonde TV star suddenly making a movie playing an abused wife, and I was like thinking, oh my god, remember when Farrah Fawcett did
Farrah
just
Fawcett,
that? You know?
Oh,
The Burning Bed.
Burning
yeah.
Bed. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it feels because by the time the movie's made and comes out, like Clinton is president, and like the whole vibe of the country was so different.
Also
And
super
this-
anti-sex at that time. I
Yeah.
mean, very.
Yeah, like
It's venturing down this
yeah.
puritanical
yeah.
path.
Yeah, this movie didn't get a big release because it was sex backlash. The Girly Show had just ended, so this is before I'll Remember and
Mhm.
and all of that. So yeah, they kind of snuck it in and it went straight to video. I mean, they didn't. No one wanted anyone to see it really.
Well, the scene of
Yeah,
her rape
yeah.
is just traumatizing.
Oh God.
I can't. I'm sorry. Again, a spoiler.
No, Please, like
Well, so I think that was-
parental advisory.
that's the thing about the movie is like I think they're dancing on the line of like the things that are happening in Mother of Mirrors while they're making the movie are
Right.
starting to happen in real life to
Yeah.
the characters, like to
Yeah,
the actors
yeah.
playing it. So it's like Madonna's playing Sarah Jennings, and Sarah Jennings is playing this role in Mother of Mirrors, and the things that are happening to her role in Mother of Mirrors are starting to happen to her in real life. So it's like
Yeah.
where the lines are, and I think they're trying to do that with the movie. They're trying to like erase the lines of like where is the reality and where is the fiction.
100%. Mm-hmm.
And it
I just don't
didn't
think they did it.
succeed.
I just don't think they did a good job of it. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, I think it had like, again, Madonna's performance is amazing. And I feel like there was so much potential. Like, but he does such weird things, Abel, as a director, like that scene where it's like, oh, you think you're so smart. There's a whole monologue that Madonna has, and he's just holding on Harvey Keitel, who's just staring at Madonna. Like, there's nothing happening on Harvey Keitel's face. And Madonna's eating it up with this monologue, and I'm like, can we go back to her for a second?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'd love to recut the movie and just like pull out her performance a little bit more.
No,
Well,
Steph,
but-
you're absolutely right. I think
yeah.
there is a movie there that was shot and it's in there somewhere. We just didn't get to see it,
Yeah.
That's probably why she pulled out and she's like, fuck everybody. I don't want to promote this because she said it's not what she shot,
Yeah,
Mm.
the movie that he edited was about him. Like Harvey Keitel is Abel in the movie, and it really becomes his story. Like the two actor characters are like
We don't know her internal life. We don't know
no,
anything
at
about
all, except for the dinner scene at the table with the agents. You get like a glimpse, and of course she's telling like goofy jokes.
her.
Yeah.
And then that scene where they're smoking the joint, and
Yeah.
Oh my God, I
and Madonna
love that scene.
Privilege.
privilege.
The tampons, the super absorbent
Yeah.
tampons.
Mhm.
Okay, so like whenever anybody says Madonna can't act, I'm like, that's the scene I queue
Yeah.
up for people because I'm like, no, watch this scene because she's brilliant. She's playing high and drunk, and she's great in it. And I love watching her, and she looks beautiful in that scene as well. But yeah, I love that privileged tampon scene. I think it's really
I love all of the choices that Madonna made as an actress to, create Sarah Jennings, like the glasses, and the chain smoking and, the lip liner. Yeah. What else did you guys see? Cause I mean, she's like, she
I
created
like-
that character.
She conveyed a tenderness that you don't often get to see out of her on film in the scene by the pool.
yes.
Because I feel like normal Madonna acting, when he's singing to her, she would have been like, and she didn't do that at all. Like she's sort of like, we got to see like a glimpse of matronly Madonna, like in the character of Sarah, and like sort of gave the character of the director that space to have that moment. And of course, that's when you realize, oh, we know what's going to happen here now. It very much telegraphs his constant need for like nurture
Yeah.
and how he pursues that both in his work and in his sort of like casual relationships. So even just, yeah. Ugh.
He needs those things.
Exactly. It's all about the director. He needs those things.
Oh my God, James Russo.
I know.
It's just
I mean,
so over
so-
the top.
It is, but like at the same time, viewing it in 2024, you can kind of be like, oh, this is like not to get political, but it does speak to sort of like weird male masculine sort
I
of like
saw millions of parallels with the way that all of the things that his character is. Again, it speaks to this sort of Americanistic,
Toxic.
it's all about me. It's all what I want. God is, of course, except for the fact that he's so like, there is no God, which is completely antithetical to what is going on right now in our country. But
I think this role probably really resonated with Madonna at the time because she was coming off Sean Penn and Warren Beatty, like self-absorbed actors. And she probably read the script and was like, oh, I know this guy. Like, I know who this guy is, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I also think she was trying to sort of like put like a little play around with her own personal image as well. Here's this big celebrity and she's trying to do an arty film. And so it's very, I'm blanking on the word, but it's very like reality.
Art imitates life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I have a question about the name of the film here is Dangerous Game. The Dangerous Game is what? Method acting? I mean, many things are the Dangerous Game. Is that the...
I don't know because originally the movie was called Snake Eyes.
Okay, I thought that was just the European title. So that was the original title.
Well, here's what happened. They got sued by a porn producer had just made a movie, like an X-rated film called Snake Eyes, and he sued the producers and said you can't use that name, so they had to retitle it. But that was another reason Madonna was upset too, because she signed on to make Snake Eyes, not Dangerous Game.
I'm not sure either one of those titles is.
I don't know.
I mean, Snake Eyes, it's a gamble. So I guess the movie is a gamble for everyone. That's
okay. Okay, that helps.
That's what I would think.
Yeah,
I would have called
I
the
always
movie
felt like
Bad Edit.
yeah, the title of it, and then also like again going back to April Ferrara's bad directing choices, like. The plotting soundtrack was like the music they used. Like, is this supposed to be like? It's almost like if you ever watched the original Terminator, there's like this like mechanical like background music that's like just like sort of like it's not advancing the plot in any way, and they're using it with this movie, and I'm like, are we supposed to be scared right now? Like what's the tone that they're trying to convey with some of the musical choices? I feel like had they gone a little bit more commercial bend with it, or just like a bit more of a direction, a plot, even like I don't even know what the plot of the movie is. Like what's happening? I don't even know.
Unfortunately, this was made before Quentin Tarantino and all sparked a whole new renaissance of like independent films. So there was no template, So that's why this movie feels like little pieces. It doesn't feel like a big whole.
Yeah, it's like it's vignettes of scenes interspliced with behind the scenes, like impromptu improv moments, and it's bizarre. I did love the cameo by Richard Belzer, who he's passed away now, right? Didn't he?
Yeah, he just recently,
which I was like, oh, there we go.
Also in that scene is Juliette Honan, who was one of Madonna's friends at the time in LA. I remember reading one of those fashion magazine interviews with Madonna, and she talks about how she met Juliette at a party and they talked all night, and Juliette was the one person who never asked her about anything about her career. And so they immediately became friends, and she got her a job on MTV. She was like,
I was going to say, wasn't Juliette did an MTV special with Madonna?
Yeah, she was a news correspondent for MTV News, and Madonna got her that job. And then I guess she showed up in this movie too. Chain smoking with Madonna.
Yeah, I thought I love Madonna scenes, and you're right. I wish we could get a re-edit of just like more Madonna, exactly. It was like, I don't want James Russo. Get him out of here.
Well, they talk about how terrible her TV work is. Let's see what Sarah Jennings' TV show looked like.
Wouldn't that have been fantastic? Exactly.
Oh my God, there should have been like a 5-minute clip. And they could have had a bunch of cameos, and it could have been like her sitcom. And what sitcom would it? She could have been in like a version. oh my God, what if they had done like a version of Roseanne, which would have been the #1 show on TV at the time, right?
I was thinking she would have been more like a Heather Locklear and TJ Hooker kind of actress.
Well, that puts it back in the 80s. Was Melrose? No, Melrose Place wasn't on yet.
No, but like a big blonde on an action show. That's what I was thinking.
Ooh, Dallas.
She's a cop.
Yeah.
That would have been so fantastic to like see action star Madonna on.
No, there's a lot. You're right. There's a lot of missed opportunities in this film because we could have also seen Burns' reputation as like who he thinks he was. Because we just got to see it in small doses. Like when it was not behind the scenes, it was like, oh, this guy thinks he's a baller, but he's really stupid.
Yeah. Well, it's the navel gazing of movies about movie making. It just doesn't always work, right?
Yeah.
Like Frank Burns has an entourage. It's like he does, like everywhere he goes.
Yeah. Well, half of them were his dealers, but
Right.
Yeah.
I love that scene when he's like Harvey Keitel's trying to talk to him and he's like kicking those people out of the trailer and they're like they don't want to leave and he's like just get out. There are some funny moments, and rewatching it, I remember when I first saw it, I absolutely hated it because it was not mainstream. It was not a conventional movie, and I felt like the way that they treated Madonna was terrible. And anyone who treats Madonna not right is not good in my book. And so I just remember like not liking the movie. And then I think I was also seeing the movie. I was then disappointed again for Madonna because I was like, oh my God, Madonna, another movie that you've invested all this time and energy in, and it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to like advance your film career, which she so desperately wanted to do. And so it was kind of like, I was a little sad for her after seeing it because I was like, oh, here we are again. It's like as if Body of Evidence didn't get trashed enough. Now this movie. And however, doing the research for this and rewatching it again, LA Times and New York Times actually
good reviews.
Really, really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
And so it helped me to read those because I was like, oh, well, look at that. They respected Madonna's acting. They thought, I was surprised.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, here's the thing about the two movies in conversation, right? This movie is not fun. Body of Evidence was a total clunker, but it was fun as F. Like, you howled, you laughed, you rooted for her. I didn't root for any of these characters. They were all unlikable.
Mm-hmm.
And it had no stakes. There were no consequences to the stakes of this movie, where at least in Body of Evidence, there were stakes and consequences, right?
He's telling us. Exactly.
Yeah, I thought Sarah Jennings was such an idiot. Like she thought she was being slick and seductive and controlling all the men. And I'm like, you're not controlling anything,
At all.
Except maybe the moment, like she holds space in a room, but outside of that, they're telling her how to feel.
Well, again, I mean, from the male perspective, thinking like you're putting that on her as this, like, see, women, they think that they control everything, but guess what? They have no control whatsoever. They're just vehicle. They're just, receptacles for our,
And that's how it was directed. That's how we see her in her scene. That's why I wish there were, like I said earlier, more of like an internal life of Sarah Jennings putting on her makeup or talking to a girlfriend in the car, or, you know what I mean? Just something that's just her,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we even get a picture into the James Russo's character sort of entourage.
Yeah.
And Sarah's is, her circle seems smaller, whereas, she's like almost like she's not allowed to have a life outside of whatever is going on. And in fact, it wasn't even believable to me when she's in bed with the director guy. I'm like, okay, but why?
It's like she's trying to make moves, but it's like nothing's going to work out. So
I mean, I don't know. There was no chemistry really. I mean, acting chemistry, yes, but I'm just talking about like between the characters. It's like, why would they're only spending time together just because of this? Obviously they wouldn't seek each other out outside of this particular event.
Well, I think we should say thanks to Dangerous Game, because I think because of this movie is one of the reasons she may have been on SNL as a musical guest when Harvey Keitel was the host.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Because
yes.
they were making this film at that time, like that month.
That's the hair. Yeah.
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 Uh,
good hair.
Not quite, though,
This-
because she didn't have the roots. When she did, that must have been like right before they started filming, because her hair is flawless. Like,
And it's different length. The roots are different lengths throughout the film. I mean, you can see
Yeah.
that it changes, and the yellows and the oranges because of the not enough toner in the right spots
Yeah.
or bleaching.
Well, and
or
also
some
she's
of it's
got-
wigs.
I was gonna say she's got that wacky wig when James
Yeah.
Russo hacks her
Right.
hair, and
yeah.
Well, I don't think this movie was filmed in sequence at
No.
all, because there are clearly changes, as Liberty said, to her roots and the length of her hair, where you're just like, because the pot smoking scene, there's barely any roots. It's like, was that the first thing they filmed?
Maybe.
Yeah, and there's like another scene where they're like driving or something, and you see like Christmas lights and stuff, and I'm like, so that's where I'm like, yeah, that must have been December '92, rolling over to January, rolling over to maybe February. I don't know how long they worked on
Oh,
this,
yeah.
but definitely
Well-
before the girly show rehearsal started, because then she chopped all her hair off.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, for those of you listening, we did interview Ron Radvinsky, who was Ron from Icon magazine, and Ron had a fantastic experience doing like PA work for Dangerous Game in Los Angeles. So go back to his episode if you want some behind the scenes
right.
stories of his
I
experience.
couldn't stop thinking about him throughout the movie
I know.
too.
I did too. I was like,
Talking
oh, this is the house he was talking about that they were at. And
Yeah.
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 I kept watching for him. I'm like, he didn't say that he appeared on screen, but I was
Same.
like, there were so many like random like extras that were like the crew. I was like, well, maybe he's in there somewhere.
That's
Yeah, I
hilarious.
feel like the extras in like the bar scenes and in the party scenes, they were all like friends of people. It just felt really like chummy, I guess, you know?
Mhm. Or just people who were working on the movie.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
just
that
felt like
too,
they were
yeah.
like, let's don't get extras. Just put Jimmy from Craft Services in there, you know.
Right. I mean, Maverick's like, look, budget's a little tight, guys. Okay. So we're going to use this mechanical music over here
Yeah.
and we're not paying extras.
No.
Yeah, that soundtrack, that was like a weird heroin version of Prince's score from Purple Rain. Oh, that was so weird. I was
But then
like,
if you see the end credits, all the like R&B and hip hop music that's on the soundtrack is they're all by Maverick artists.
oh yeah, I watched the credits. Oh yeah. Because I wanted to know who was that actress playing Privilegia in the scene where they're smoking weed and she's not listed in the credits. And I was like, because she looked familiar. I was like,
Yeah.
who is that?
Yeah.
But who
You know,
knows?
One thing I want to say is just about Madonna's look. Okay. 'Cause
Yes.
it's one thing that I've really noticed is when people say, oh, she doesn't look like herself anymore. This movie specifically, as I watched her character, her face, I thought, no, she really looks like this still. Like even just having seen her, a few feet away from me, a little over a month ago now, it was like, wow. I mean, she looks the same. Her face is still the same. It's just a little bit more, let's say youthful looking as far as the fillers and stuff
It's
now.
tighter.
Yeah, but right, tighter. And there's some, some difference, but really and truly she looks like herself, I feel.
Yeah.
Oh, I always love that this is one of the last movies where she could still furrow her brow. You know, and she used to do that so much, and then you can tell that obviously she wanted to alleviate the little middle hook in between her eyebrows, and so she Botoxed it away. And I love that because you can still see her furrowing her brow in some of her performances, and it's I love it. It's so old school Madonna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I mean, she looked great in the film. She looked like a movie star. I mean, and a couple of months later, she's going to be like half that size. Because remember how tiny she was in the girly show? She was like almost,
yeah.
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 Mhm.
But she's got curves here. She's like movie star Madonna.
Oh, she totally had her like a virgin voluptuousness back for
Mhm.
this movie. It was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
God, just how she morphs her entire person as she moves through these things. It's so
Mhm.
fascinating to me.
Yeah.
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 But this
Incredible.
movie, I don't.
I know.
Can we recommend it to the audience?
I mean, it's a curiosity. I mean, I always say if you're really interested, just fast forward to scenes that she's in and take it in, because there's nothing really to hold them together.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
really need to watch it chronologically because that movie's so out of sequence as it is.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee you that any of the scenes where the two men are talking, they're not talking about her.
They're not talking about anything salient or relevant. It's just a bunch of like penis jerking nonsense.
Yeah.
That
So
was
it's
the
like-
other things. The pseudo stuff that they in this, I'm just like, oh wow, people like read a book. Oy.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah,
there's
I
a
don't know
lot.
if I would recommend, aside from, a non-fan, I don't think I would probably say, I had to watch it obviously for this. But I think I might have gone my whole life without it, even though it's a Madonna thing. And I'm usually very into anything Madonna does. I'll watch it, I will eat it up. But this one I just never was. I don't know, it flew right past me somehow.
Yeah. I think
Stefan is.
Oh, I was
I was
going to
gonna
say,
say-
if we
Oh,
can,
go on, yeah.
if we can retitle the film "The Mansplaining Game," I think it would be like Truth in Advertising, and you know what you're going to get because it's very indicative of the '90s and like, the man's voice, only voice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Stefan, do you know if the monologue that you somehow know how to quote? I cannot do that.
Oh, you think
Is
you're so
that
smart?
Is that on YouTube? Like, honestly,
It has to
audience,
be.
if you can find that scene where Harvey Keitel and Madonna's characters are like going at it while she's all bloody
I
in the
love how she
wig.
just gets like more and more irritated as it goes on. It's like, I know you think you're so smart, and then it's like it changes slightly from like all of life's miseries, and then she's talking about like some like the seventh sign or this, and we both show up in heaven, and this, and I'm like, where have we gone, Madonna? Like,
Seventh circle. Yeah. She starts reciting.
Oh yeah,
Behold.
she starts.
I am coming soon.
Yeah, like there's that scene where he's like, all right, you get yourself ready, but I'm going to turn the camera on and then you're on and you need to do what you need to do. And I love how Madonna played it. So she's playing it as an actress who doesn't know how to improvise. So she's like just pulling shit out of her ass, She's like, what am I going to do? And I mean,
oh yeah, well, it's the scene it's a scene where it's like super dark and like it's in front of the mirror and yeah.
And he's telling her,
"Are you going to tell me when to go?"
Yeah. And he's like, no, I'm not telling you how to do anything. You need to know this. I thought that the way she played it was great because it was, like an actress playing an actress who can't act or who doesn't understand.
See,
how to
I
act.
took that as a director who wasn't being a decent director. That's interesting.
No, he focused the camera. They framed the shot and he turned it on and he's like, now you do whatever, because that was kind of like what Frank was doing too,
Yeah. Also, that scene is ruined by the background music.
Yeah.
I was just like, what is this music? Like, it sounds like Barry Cronenberg was on point earlier, Steph.
And the lighting.
The music. Yeah, the music in that scene and the lighting, I was like, is her head going to explode? Is this a Cronenberg movie?
It's
Like,
weird.
what's happening?
It's weird. It's kooky choices.
Ugh.
I know. It's a shame because I felt like this could have been a big role for her.
Yeah.
And like honestly, like an award-winning role for her.
Yeah.
And it was just like the way that they came across it. Yeah, it was just it's not good.
Unfortunately, this was like the first of like the next half dozen like frustrating Madonna film appearances where she would show up in a movie for 30 seconds or she'd show up in a movie for 5 minutes and it would make no sense. And we wouldn't see her in a full film until Evita, which is,
Yes. So for those of you paying attention, our Madonna Summer movie series this summer will only be featured feature films. So we are skipping over some of those little smaller roles that Madonna sort of cameos in, like Blue in the Face or
Girl Six.
or like
travesty.
4 rooms. We love them and we are going to get to them, but not this summer. This summer, we're just going to bang through a couple more of her features. So this is Dangerous Game. You're welcome. And next month, we watched it, so you don't have to.
There you go.
That's right.
Next
But hang in
month-
there, Girl Six fans, because we're going to talk
Yeah.
about that one
We'll
day
get
if I
there.
have my way. I love that movie.
But next month, for July, we are going to Evita.
Wow.
Ah, can't wait.
It'll be a
God,
big old
Jesus.
sing along. So get your brown eye contacts in, put in a little baby bump, and get ready to tango with Antonio Banderas because we'll be.
Oh, my hair will be long enough for a side pull and like a whole like look. I'll get some contacts.
You have another
eyes,
suitcase
hair,
and
mouth,
another
figure,
hall.
dress, voice, style, image. You know, it's all going to be there. The Rainbow Tour.
Yeah, I'll be the Melanie Griffith flying in from LA on a direct flight to make sure there's no shenanigans on set.
Oh Lord. So in the chat, someone said that they remember James Russo being in My Private Idaho.
Yeah, he was.
Was he
played,
in that?
Yeah, he played River Phoenix's brother in the flashbacks.
Oh, okay.
Oh
I don't
crap.
remember
I
that.
would not have put that together.
And also, do you remember in Fast Times at Ridgemont High at the very end when Judge Reinhold's working at the 7-Eleven and he gets robbed and Sean Penn throws the coffee on the thief?
Yes.
Well, that was James Russo.
Oh, as a baby. Gosh.
But yeah, I think he started out in The Warriors, which was like that gang movie from
Oh,
the
yeah.
80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, what's he doing now?
Oh, the
Oh,
Walter
who
Hill
knows?
movie? I don't remember him
He's-
in that.
Greeting at Walmart.
I know. Guys like him scare me, like Michael Madsen and like, you know, like angry actors like that. You know, I'm like, I just,
Mhm.
how much of that is real and how much of that is made
Totally. That's why when he was treated the way he treated Madonna, I was like, no,
Mhm.
no,
No.
Sir.
Anyway, well, that's Dangerous Game. Sorry, it's not a more uplifting movie. And
That was Dangerous Game.
I mean, it was. It's. I mean, if you're doing a Madonna movie retrospective and you want to see all of her films, this to me is a performance highlight of hers, and will put to rest any sort of qualms that no, she can't act because.
Right.
You know, and I think it's interesting that it comes on the heels of Body of Evidence because, like, people will say, "Oh, she's terrible in Body of Evidence," but then you see this, and it's literally within the same year. I mean,
Yeah.
Body of Evidence was in the beginning of '93, and this was towards the end, and I was like, "It's so different," and her performance is so wonderful. So I'm glad it exists
Yeah.
for her because I think it does prove that she had what it takes to be there. It's just
Yeah.
the projects weren't successful enough for her.
Yeah.
Sadly.
But yeah, it's definitely not a girls' movie night
Yeah.
Madonna movie. You can get
Not so
A League of Their Own
Right.
streaming anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. She needed a bit more fun.
Mhm.
But I do love that Evita's coming down the pike because that's
Hallelujah.
that's worth
Yeah,
it.
I've been really excited about that one.
Mhm.
So, before we let you all go, just a little teaser, and I'm not saying anything else other than you are going to want to tune in to our next week's episode. It is not a live episode, but we have a very special guest star. You're going to love it. And that's all I'm going to say for now.
That's all? That's all for now?
That's the only teaser.
When is the big reveal?
Watch this space though. It'll be on Instagram. I'll start teasing soon. We had to get through Dangerous Game first, but so remember
The drudgery that is Dangerous Game.
I know.
we made it, kids.
We
made
did,
it.
you know.
Thank goodness.
Remember, everybody, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at MLVC Podcast. If you'd like to support the show, donate on Venmo at MLVC Podcast. Or if you don't know this, on YouTube, there's a little like button that you can push. If you push and click and hold, it's a super thanks button, and you can donate that way. Because I know there's a couple people who have said, we can't use Venmo, we're out of country. You can use the super thanks button on YouTube and donate that way. So
It's
and if you-
international.
exactly. And if you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, tick that button so you never miss a video. Yeah, that's it. Was there anything in the chat that we needed to pay attention to, Ben? Or people were like, dangerous game? Well, I'm not
Most
tuning
people I
into
don't
that.
even think have seen it, and I can't say I blame them. I literally just texted and I just typed in the chat, watch this episode versus the movie. It's
Yeah.
more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe if you go on YouTube and put in Madonna Dangerous Game, all the clips will be there and you won't have to sit through any of
I
these.
think it is on YouTube. I think I found there's like a Maverick's not policing that. They're just
No.
like, oh, someone
No.
uploaded it on YouTube. Let them have it. You know?
I think Maverick just kind of let that go. Like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun to watch. But yeah, watch the smoking pot scene. Watch the you think you're so smart scene, and then that's the movie. There you go.
Yeah,
kids.
that's it.
That really is the movie. Like the salient points are made in those two scenes and the one that's just Harvey Keitel where he basically telegraphs all of James Russo's dialogue for the next hour.
Yeah.
That's it. You watch those scenes and you're done.
Oh, and don't forget Sarah Jennings telling blonde jokes at an industry dinner, you know?
Yes, yes.
All right. Well, thanks for chatting, guys. It's always lovely to see you. And
Good
I'm
to see
so
you
glad to
guys.
be back.
yes, and until next time, everybody.
Ciao.
Ciao, Ben.